All right, let's dive right into this explainer and break down the breathtakingly precise chronological sequence of the Soyuz MS-29 launch to the International Space Station. When we talk about spaceflight, we usually just picture that fiery liftoff and think of it as this single explosive moment. But in reality, it is a highly choreographed symphony of thousands of perfectly timed events. So today, we're going to walk through exactly how a crew leaves Earth and chases down a laboratory orbiting in the cold vacuum of space. To really grasp the magnitude of this mission, we have to start right here, in the heart-pounding final moments in Baikonur, Kazakhstan. This is just before liftoff, right when Mission Control gives that ultimate green light. Imagine hearing that calm, steady voice from communications declaring, "We are ready for launch." It's 9:47 a.m. Central Time, the weather out on the Kazakh steppe is pushing into the high 90s Fahrenheit, and literally years of rigorous training are about to culminate in one explosive departure. The tension in the room? Absolutely palpable. But hey, before we get completely lost in the telemetry, the fuel purging, and the rocket mechanics, let's take a second to look at the incredible humans strapped inside that cramped descent module. Because at the end of the day, all of this massive engineering is designed to do one thing: keep a very fragile human cargo safe as they're hurtled into orbit. Strapped in for this upcoming 8-month mission to the station is a highly diverse, incredibly capable crew. We've got Roscosmos veteran Pyotr Dubrov commanding the Soyuz spacecraft. Sitting right next to him is Kikina, serving as board engineer 1. And rounding out the trio, NASA astronaut Anil Menon, stepping in as board engineer 2, heading up for his very first space mission. Actually, there's a fascinating little bit of personal history tied to this mission, specifically centering around the number 11. Anil Menon is making history right alongside his wife, Anna, who you might remember flew on the Polaris Dawn mission back in 2024. With Anil reaching orbit on this Soyuz, they officially become the 11th spouse team to ever fly in space. I mean, can you imagine the dinner table conversations in that household? Anil even mentioned how stoked he was to bring some personal family traditions up to the station, like celebrating the Christmas holiday season with his expedition crewmates. Okay, let's head out to the launch pad and see how the final minutes of this highly orchestrated countdown build some immense suspense. The Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft is all encapsulated on top of that massive Soyuz 2.1A booster, and the sequence of events leading to ignition is, well, it's practically a masterclass in aerospace engineering. Every single second is accounted for. Notice how these rapid-fire operations perfectly transition the rocket into automatic mode. At exactly T-minus 6 minutes, a literal physical launch key is inserted down in the launch bunker, officially handing control over to the automated systems. T-minus 5 minutes, the crew snaps their helmet visors closed and switches over to suit oxygen. A minute later, at T-minus 4, the fuel lines are purged with nitrogen. This is an absolutely crucial fireproofing step to clear out any dangerous vapors. And by T-minus 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the booster's fuel tanks are fully pressurized for flight, which doesn't just optimize fuel flow, it actually adds rigid structural support to the rocket itself. Down in the final 90 seconds, the Soyuz systematically cuts its physical ties with Earth in 4 rapid-fire steps. First up, the ground propellant feed is completely terminated. Then, the vehicle switches entirely to internal power. At T-minus 35 seconds, that massive first umbilical tower physically separates from the booster, initiating the auto-sequence start. You can literally see it falling away on the pad. Finally, at T-minus 15 seconds, the second umbilical tower separates, immediately kicking off the engine sequence start. The rocket is now fully alive. So we reach T0, the crucial point, the exact moment gravity is officially defied. The launch command is issued for ignition, the engines throttle up to full power, and the spacecraft begins its violent descent into the sky. And guys, the sheer power required to pull this off is just mind-boggling. The Soyuz 2.1A booster roars to life, delivering an absolutely staggering 930,000 pounds of thrust. This massive surge of energy comes from a combination of its 4 strap-on boosters and that central single engine. The first stage alone is 68 feet long and 24 feet in diameter, just chugging massive amounts of liquid fuel to push the crew off the pad. Just 60 seconds in, and the acceleration is already mind-blowing. They are smashing past 1,100 miles per hour. Mission Control is reporting excellent structural parameter performance, completely stable engines, and a perfect pitch, roll, and yaw as the rocket heads downrange. Everything is nominal, which, if you're sitting on top of a controlled explosion, is literally the only word you want to hear. Let's move to the next phase. To reach orbit efficiently, a rocket has to methodically shed dead weight as it climbs. And it does this in a really rapid sequence. At 1 minute and 54 seconds, right around an altitude of 28 miles, the escape tower and those 4 heavy strap-on boosters have done their job, so they drop away. About 2.5 minutes in, the launch shroud gets thrown off. Next up is the core stage separation and eventually the third stage. It's this perfectly timed shedding of mass designed purely to maximize velocity. Hit minute 3 and that core stage is putting in some serious work. This stage is 56 feet long, features 4 fuel chambers, and it is pushing the crew to a blazing 4,700 miles per hour, getting them to an altitude of roughly 48 miles high. And through all this, the structural performance remains absolutely flawless as they hurtle closer and closer to space. Now, what's really fascinating here is the hot stage technique. This is a brilliant piece of rocket engineering. Right around the 4 minute and 43 second mark, the Soyuz does something completely unique. It actually features an open lattice area between the second and third stages. This design allows the third stage engine to ignite while the second stage is still burning. It's wild. This seamless transition ensures there is absolutely zero loss of forward momentum during the staging process. Right after that ignition, at exactly 105 miles up, the spent second stage drops away. Now, the crew is relying entirely on the third stage's single engine. This final engine cranks out 67,000 pounds of thrust and is going to burn continuously for just over 4 minutes, propelling them right toward their exact orbital insertion window. After an intense, bone-rattling 8 minute and 46 second ride uphill, the third stage shuts down and separates. A series of pre-programmed, time-tagged commands activate the onboard computers, and that brutal acceleration finally ends. At this point, command transitions from the launch site in Kazakhstan over to the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow. But the journey to their new home isn't quite over yet. Now, they begin a high-speed orbital ballet, a literal chase to the ISS. When they first hit orbit, they're roughly 1,137 miles behind and 142 miles below the space station. Over the next 3 hours, they're going to complete exactly 2 orbits around the Earth, steadily closing that massive gap. This chase culminates at precisely 12:56 p.m. Central Time, ending with a highly precise docking at the Poisk module, right on the Earth-facing side of the station's Russian segment. So as they finally settle in, cruising around the Earth at a blistering 13,500 miles per hour, it really leaves us with an inspiring thought. This crew is embarking on an 8-month stay on the orbiting laboratory. As Menon prepares to bring his family traditions to the station, and as they get ready to dive into scientific research on day 1, it leaves us wondering, what incredible breakthroughs will this crew achieve and bring back to Earth? Thanks for exploring the mechanics of this amazing journey with me in this explainer today, and keep looking up.